All right, guys, so this is the Skyform and Zipform tutorial video number 2. If you've not watched number 1 yet, you definitely want to watch that so that you'll understand what's going on here in number 2. All right, so in number 1, we created templates. We showed you how to do that. And now in this one, we're going to go over and create a transaction. All right, here's a list of my transactions. I want to create a new one, so I go right here and click New. And is this a new listing? Is it a new purchase offer? Is it a new lease or a new lease listing? Okay, so that I represent the seller, or do I represent the buyer? Do I represent the tenant? Do I represent the landlord? Or do I need to quick sign something? And that's only usable if you pay for that service within Zipform. So it's not available in the free version, and you really don't need it anyway because you can sign through Skyslope. All right, so new purchase or offer, and this is a residential. And by the way, I'm going to name this. My fictional clients are Bob and Bonnie Bell. Oops. So Bell, Bob and Bonnie, right there. And then it's a residential. Select the template. This is where we select the template we already made, and I want to select the buyer template. So all of that's going to come into my my new client folder. So I hit save. And it'll come here to where I can start entering MLS information and all of that. And I'm not there yet, so I really don't need to do any of this. So really, I wish it would default to documents, but you can just come up here and select documents, and it will show you, excuse me, the 5 docs that we created in our template. And you can see here that in Bob and Bonnie Bell's file right now. And this is all stuff for them. So now, this cover sheet is as I produced it in the template, so you can still see all of this information. But now I want to go and start entering in buyer information, because this is for one specific buyer or pair of buyers. And so I want this information to autofill into other documents within this client's transactions. So right here, I'm going to click Bob, and you see Bob's already in there. These are what you call learning fields, which it's the same in the other cover sheet that we did in the template. So if you ever typed something in there before, it's still going to be in there. That's why this is kind of easy for me to do right here. And I just did one, let's see, Mid Rivers. I don't see it in there, but Mid Rivers Mall Drive in St. Peters. And when I click that, it's going to automatically search for that, and see how it verifies that address. That pops in there as well. I'm not going to worry about phone number. And then I'm going to put the email address. What I'm putting here is an email that kind of an obscure one that I don't use anymore, because we're going to send DocuSign documents over to that email address here in just a few minutes. Okay, so there's Bob, and then we're going to click another B, and I see Bonnie's in there already, and then her street address is the same thing. It's 1 Mid Rivers Mall Drive, and notice it didn't verify it automatically, so I just backspace, hit drive again, and there it is. And then it pops up. Okay, and then email address. I'm going to use the same email address. And one of the beauties of the Skyslope integration is that unlike dot loop, which I used before with Keller Williams, you had to have a separate email address for each signer. With Skyslope, you can use the same email address, and they'll get separate emails addressed to them at that particular email address. Okay, no buyer 3, no seller information at this point. There's all my selling broker information, and I pretty much just leave everything the same. Now, if I knew that there was a different title company, I could put that in right here. If I already knew their lender information, I could go ahead and put that in as well, and that could auto-populate as well. But for right now, all I really need is their name and really just their email address, but I put address in there anyway. Okay, so we're going to save that. So we come up here. Actually, I think it auto-saves. Yeah, it auto-saves. So if I just click back, I'm out of that. And then if you look here in my buyer's agency agreement, down at the bottom where the signers are, They're already populated in. Everything has gone in there. Okay, and so we are actually wanting to set this up to send it over for signatures. So I'm going to put right here, Bob and Bonnie Bell, and beginning today. And let's just give it 6 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's August on the 13th. And then this I leave like this, and I really there's nothing else excuse me, that I need to fill in other than, let's see, I believe that's it. Okay, so that's really it for this one, and I'm going to drop the signatures in later. We'll show you how to do that in DocuSign. Okay, so that's all I need to do for their buyer's agency agreement. I'm not even going to worry about residential sale contract right now because I'm not there yet. I'm not at an inspection notice yet, but I will be sending them the wire fraud advisory. So the first two things I'll send them is their buyer's exclusive agency and that wire fraud advisory. Those two things need signatures. I'm also going to send them a couple of other docs, but those won't need signatures, and we'll do those together as well. Okay, so these are really all set up and ready to go. Now I can just jump back over to Skyslope, and I can look in working documents. And I have three choices here. Personal docs, which I've got a folder set up for each individual client. These are all signed documents that are waiting to be used on a listing or when we make an offer. Unfiled docs, and I'll explain that to you here in a couple of minutes. And I keep a folder of Missouri State docs, which I uploaded all of these myself just so I would have everything that I possibly can available. I've got 11 pages of them. And so then there are office docs, and these are kind of like employment things, W-9s, or there's your wire fraud advisory. If you need to go and grab it, it's in there. And then referral forms and that kind of thing. They're just office docs. And then Zipform Plus, and this is where we want to be. So 3 tabs. Zipform Plus is where we're doing all of our work. Okay, so you see Bob and Bonnie are already in there, and here are their documents. So we want to send Bob and Bonnie an exclusive agency contract to sign, and then we also want to send them the wire fraud advisory to sign. So those two are clicked, and then I'm going to click DigiSign right here. Takes just a moment to populate those up in, and it's going to ask if I want to choose one of these addresses, and I don't at this point. I'm not that far along, so no property. And so they're right here, and if I want to change the order in which they see them, because these are all going to go in one document. Basically, they'll be strung together in one signing document, and you'll be able to split them back up later, which I prefer to do rather than send one email for buyer's agency and another one for fraud advisory, which would be easier for me because I don't have to split them up. I'd much rather make it easier on the client, and they get one email and it's 2 places to sign, and then they send it back and I split it up is kind of the way I prefer to do it. Okay, so then I click next, and then who needs to sign first? I'm not signing at all on this. My signature is not needed. The broker's signature is needed, and then both purchasers, both buyers are going to be needed. And it says who signed first, these people, and then you could add if there was somebody that doesn't sign until these people sign, then you put them here. Okay, but for our purposes here, really, it doesn't matter what order they sign in. I do want to add the broker because the broker has to sign the buyer's agency agreement. So I click New Recipient, and then name, and again, these are all learning fields. So if I typed it in there before, it's in. So there's Annette, and then I select her role is broker, and she needs to sign as well. So hit save. So they'll all get it at the same time right here. But since this is a test document or a test signing, I don't want Annette to get this. Okay, so I take her off of that, and I'm only sending it to Bob and Bonnie, and those will be the only signatures required. So then I click Next, and it lets me prepare the document. So I'm in buyer's exclusive agency contract. I really just need to go all the way to the bottom and put in signatures. So this is Bob. So I click signature here. And then when I click here again, it'll insert it. So you want to move this up a little bit. So the first time I did this, I would put the name right on the line, and that actually makes it end up below the line. So you move it way up in here like this. Okay, there's Bob's signature, and then a date signed. There's Bob's date signed right there. Okay, and then I need Bonnie. So there's Bonnie's signature and Bonnie's, oh, I didn't click that. Bonnie, and then click over here for Bonnie's signature. Okay, and this is kind of annoying that this stays here like this, and be careful that wherever you click your mouse, it's going to add another one. So I always just click one more and then click X, and that gets rid of it, gets rid of that extra box, and just leaves a nice clean look like this. And that's what I prefer, just to kind of see how it looks before I send it off. Okay, and then down here on the wiring fraud advisory, I need signatures from both of them on this as well. And so we're going right here. And the last one I did was Bonnie. So I'm just going to put that right there. That was her date. And then her signature is going right there. And it's okay for that box to overlap the line above it. You just want her name to be up here in the middle. All right. And then another signature here would be for Bob. Click the drop down. There's Bob. And then I need a date for Bob as well. And that's right there. Perfect. Okay. And again, if you click out of that, it adds another one. Just click the X and it's gone. And then we look good. Okay. So I scroll back up. Just make sure everything looks the way I want it to. And obviously, if I was having Annette sign this, I would enter a signature box for her as well. But we don't need that now. So I'm going to click send. And my subject, I recommend putting the last name in the subject line, because when this pops back up on your phone or your Apple Watch or wherever and it says documents all signed and you've got more than one transaction out there, you'll want to know immediately by just looking at the subject line who signed. And I'll know that the Bells signed theirs, but maybe the Smiths are still out there. Okay. Documents to sign. And then I usually put some information here, explanation of documents and things like that. So you can add whatever you want to there. We'll just put blah, blah, blah. And then send for signatures. Woohoo, that was easy. Your doc was sent successfully. Okay, I'm going to click done, and then we'll go look at those in the email. All right, we're going to go over to the Gmail account. And as you see, Bob Bell, this one's for him. And Bonnie Bell, this one's for you. I sent it to my Gmail account, but this would be Bob and Bonnie's Gmail. Okay, and so I click on Bob, and it says, Tim Prinky sent you a document to sign, review and sign. Of course, I would have my information for them right here as well. Review and sign. And they click the signature they want, agree. And then they can either scroll down, or if they see the start button, they click that, and it's going to take them right to the signature that's needed. They click in there. That one's done. It's going to take them to the next one. They click in that one. Ready to return or to submit. They submit. And woohoo, they're done. So I'm going to close out of that. And then let's look at Bonnie's. Review and sign. She selects what she wants her signature to look like. Start, takes her down to the first one, clicks that, takes her to the second one. She signs and see how their signatures ended up. That's pretty much the way I wanted them to look, so that placement was pretty good. So submit, and they're done. Now they could download them if they wanted to look at them. And so we're done there. And this gives them a confirmation saying, congratulations, you successfully signed your document. And then in my email, I will get one as well that tells me that all signed Bell. So I know right off the bat that Bell signed. So that's what I'm talking about right there.